Okay, so hello and welcome to this afternoon meditation and discussion. Just going to start off with a meditation based on today's workbook lesson 91, which is a lovely lesson to meditate on. And then we'll go into the reading of the text for today, which is on the Sane Curriculum, section 5 of chapter 12. And following that, an expression session, then a discussion on the text.
Okay, so
right.
Okay, so
It's just
hello and welcome.
Sorry, that was YouTube just going live a few seconds after I started. So just making yourself comfortable, just putting your phone on mute or silent, sitting comfortably with your feet shoulder width apart. Cup your hands on your lap, keep your back straight. Close your eyes. And just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in. Through the nose, noticing how the stomach rises, chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just clench your sphincter muscle. So that's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. That locks the energy in. Creates a pumping action up the spine. I just feel like you're drawing the energy up the spine as well into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. Feel this nice warm tingling sensation rising up all the way into the crown of your head. It's a maximal inhale breath. At the top of the inhale, just pause and just scan your mind. So just looking within and noticing any thoughts or emotions going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, restricting in any way. Just allow that to rise up into the crown of your head. You just pause at the top of the inhale. And bring in today's idea from Workbook Lesson 91. Miracles are seen in light. The light of true vision. You will not see them in the dark, says Jesus. You will only see them in the light. So say to yourself, the body's eyes do not perceive the light, but I am not a body. What am I? Ask this question and expect an answer. Maybe you feel a little stirring of truth in your mind. Breathe that in, smile. You feel this darkness, whatever it was. Thought and emotion, that's all it is, thought and emotion. That enslaves us. Just feel it dissipating. You're going to let it all go with the help of your breath. If you're not a body and you're really spirit, then none of these things that you perceive externally really matter at all. It's all a setup. Body's eyes set you up for grievances, for upsets, for drama. But you can transcend that perception by simply realizing you're not a body. So exhale. Just have a sense of blowing your investment in these thoughts and emotions, your attachment to them. That's the problem. It's not the situation itself. It's your investment in or your attachment to the situation. You just blow it all out with the wind of your breath. Then it will go into the nothingness that it really is. There's nothing that can disturb your peace of mind. Say to yourself, I am not weak, but strong. I'm not helpless, but all-powerful. I'm not limited, but unlimited. I'm not doubtful, but certain. I'm not an illusion, but a reality. And I cannot see in the darkness, but only in the light. And just as you inhale again, breathe in that light. Imagine a beautiful golden or white light flowing into your stomach, into your heart center, putting one hand on your heart. Just breathing the light into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. You smile because you're in the light, which miracles become obvious. So try to experience these truths about yourself, your strength, your power, your unlimited nature, certainty, the trust. Jesus advises to concentrate particularly on the experience of strength. So breathe that in. Imagine breathing in the very essence of strength, power. Not a power of the ego. It's much deeper than that. It's a power of an unlimited, unconditional love that simply is. It doesn't matter what the ego does, says. This power is unaffected. This strength is completely independent of whatever illusions your ego has invented. Remember that all sense of weakness is associated with the belief that you are body, a belief that is mistaken and deserves no faith. So as you exhale now, just let go of your belief in this. You're not a body, so therefore nothing the body's eyes and ears and senses perceive means anything. Jesus says, try to remove your faith from it, if only for a moment. You will be accustomed to keeping faith with the more worthy in you as we go along. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here in this deep peace and stillness for a few moments. Beyond the body, have a sense, a little glimpse into that transcendent dimension. Mind beyond the body, incorporeal. This is the spirit. This is who you really are. And then, as you breathe in again, and smile, breathing in the light, the strength, the peace that this transcendent dimension brings with it inevitably. Feel it flowing into every pore of your skin, every cell of your body, every part of your mind. Is in the light of true salvation. And in this light, it's going to allow these words I'm going to share with you from today's text reading. Section 5 of chapter 12, the Sane Curriculum, it's entitled. Just allow them to drop into that awareness. Permeating into a deeper part of your mind. Just keep watching your breaths, breathing in and out. Nice deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. Keep some attention on the breath to keep your mind in this nice, still, calm, empty, open, but aware state. And you allow these words just to drop in, just to seep in to this calm, empty, open, spacious, light awareness that you've created. And you smile because you're in the light. And in this light, miracles are seen. the truth reveals itself. So allow these words just to permeate into this light awareness. You don't have to try and intellectually understand them, to analyze them, evaluate them, dissect them, resist them in any way. You just allow them in, to seep in, and know that as your mind is open, it's an empty vessel, they will sink into a deeper part of your mind, your subconscious, which is where they need it to undo this very deep-seated belief in separation, which Jesus calls the ego. So just keep watching your breath. Keep one hand on your heart center to connect in with your heart space. And just feel into these words. This is about feeling what the words point to. The words are not the truth, but the words can point you within to the truth, to an experience of the truth that is beyond words. They can be very helpful pointers that the Holy Spirit can use, which it's doing through these lessons and these teachings given by a mind that has completely unified with the Holy Spirit. That is the Holy Spirit. Jesus and the Holy Spirit, the voice of God, these are all the same. It's one presence, one consciousness. It's coming via this voice down through this broadcast, through this amazing technology we have to you. And that process is itself miraculous. Smile at that thought. Appreciate the miracle that is happening right now for you, to enlighten your mind, to bring you back into alignment with the Holy Spirit, back to God, back to heaven. This is all part of that divinely orchestrated process unfolding right now. So just keep watching your breath, keep your hand on your heart center, feel into these words, feeling the emotion that they point to. If you can feel the love and the peace and the joy, then the words are truly doing their work. I'll remind you just to stay present by watching your breath, staying connected to the heart presence of love every so often as we go through this section of the text. So let's hear what Jesus has to say about the Sane Curriculum. It starts off by saying that only love is strong because it is undivided. The strong do not attack because they see no need to do so. Before the idea of attack can enter your mind, you must have perceived yourself as weak. Because you attacked yourself and believed that the attack was effective, you behold yourself as weakened. No longer perceiving yourself and your brothers as equal, and regarding yourself as weaker, you attempt to, quote, equalize the situation you made. You use attack to do so because you believe that attack was successful in weakening you. Now, just pause here, keep watching your breath, consider what Jesus is saying here. If you're really strong, really in your true power, then you would not attack because you would see no need to do so. Attack and weakness go together because you must have perceived yourself as weak in order to attack. Attack weakens you. Weakness justifies attack. Two sides of the same illusory coin. And then, because you've attacked yourself, you feel weaker than your brothers. And so you attempt to equalize the situation you made by attacking them because you believe attack was effective in weakening you, so then it must be effective in weakening them. It's all pretty insane, but it's important that you see the insanity. So when you see it clearly, then you stop believing in it and you're willing to let it go. That is why the recognition of your own invulnerability is so important to the restoration of your sanity. For if you accept your invulnerability, you are recognizing that attack has no effect. Although you have attacked yourself, you will be demonstrating that nothing really happened. Therefore, by attacking, you have not done anything. Once you realize this, you will no longer see any sense in attack, for it manifestly does not work and cannot protect you. Yet, the recognition of your invulnerability has more than negative value. If your attacks on yourself have failed to weaken you, you are still strong. You therefore have no need to, quote, equalize the situation to establish your strength. Just pause here, watch your breath, consider this. If you really believe that your attacks on yourself are of no effect, they have not weakened you, you are still strong, invulnerable, and you have no need to equalize the situation to establish your strength. You have no need to attack others, to try and diminish them so that you can feel better about yourself, which is what the ego is always trying to do. Because you realize you're invulnerable, you're strong simply as you are. No attack is of any effect on you, whether it seems to be coming from another person, something external, or it's your own thoughts. You'll never realize, says Jesus, the utter uselessness of attack, except by recognizing that your attack on yourself has no effects. For others do react to attack if they perceive it. And if you're trying to attack them, you will be unable to avoid interpreting this as a reinforcement. The only place you can cancel out all reinforcement is in yourself. For you are always the first point of your attack. And if this has never been, it has no consequences. I'll just pause here, reflect on this. Attack has never been. Attack is a delusion. It's an unreal thought. It really has no effect, has no consequences. And so the Holy Spirit is asking you to just cancel all the apparent effects of attack out in yourself, in others. You simply deny them. Because the Holy Spirit's love is your strength. For yours is divided and therefore not real. You cannot trust your own love when you attack it. You cannot learn of perfect love with a split mind. Because a split mind has made itself a poor learner. You tried to make the separation eternal because you wanted to retain the characteristics of creation, but with your own content. Yet creation is not of you. And poor learners do need special teaching. And just pause here, smile, watch your breath. Feel like you're just being taken in by the Holy Spirit into this strength. This reading of the text beautifully supports today's workbook lesson, which talks about focusing on the experience of strength in you. Your true power lies within, in your own mind. A place that is invulnerable, that is unchangeable, that is unaffected by all attacks. And yet, attack is just the product of a split mind, which is a poor learner, as Jesus says. What we wanted to do was attain the characteristics of creation, which is eternal, but with our own content. And we can't do this. Creation is not of us. We cannot have eternity and then populate it with our own content of illusions. Two are mutually exclusive and irreconcilable. So Jesus says, you have learning handicaps in a very literal sense. I laugh sometimes when he says these things. He's actually just poking fun in a very gentle, light-hearted way. He's saying we're handicapped, severely handicapped, in a very literal sense. There are areas in your learning skills that are so impaired that you can progress only under constant, clear-cut direction provided by a teacher who can transcend your limited resources. This teacher is the Holy Spirit, of course. He becomes your resource because of yourself you cannot learn. The learning situation in which you placed yourself is impossible. And in this situation, you clearly require a special teacher and a special curriculum. Poor learners are not good choices as teachers, either for themselves or for anyone else. You would hardly turn to them to establish the curriculum by which they can escape from their limitations. If they understood what is beyond them, they would not be handicapped. So just pause here, connect with your breath, smile. Jesus is pointing out the limitations, the handicaps of this ego mind that we have adopted as our teacher. And he's saying that we cannot escape by trying to listen to this guide, listening to our own voice, because we are just poor learners, and so we are not good choices as teachers, because our curriculum is so limited that we can't escape from the limitations created by our own minds. If we rely on our own mind, our egos, to teach us, we'll simply perpetuate the limitation. We'll keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result and not getting it, which leads to a sense of futility and sadness and depression, anger. These are all products of this insane thought system that just keeps us seeking and not finding, as Jesus pointed out in the previous section, seeking and finding. So he continues by saying, you do not know the meaning of love, and that is your handicap. Do not attempt to teach yourself what you do not understand. And do not try to set up curriculum goals where yours have clearly failed. Your learning goal has been not to learn, and this cannot lead to successful learning. You cannot transfer what you have not learned, and the impairment of the ability to generalize is a crucial learning failure. Would you ask those who have failed to learn what learning aids are for? They do not know. If they could interpret the aids correctly, they would have learned from them. Let's just pause and reflect on all of this. Jesus is saying that we have this impairment of our learning ability. It's the ego sets up a goal where it's happy for us to learn many things that will keep us in the world, but it does not want us to learn the one true thing, the one truth that will free us. And it cannot interpret the learning aids that arise in our lives. Every situation is helpful if we see it that way. The ego cannot see it that way. It simply cannot know. It cannot know love. It will never find what we seek for within the ego's thought system. So Jesus continues to clarify this by saying, I have said that the ego's rule is seek and do not find. Translated into curricular terms, this means try to learn but do not succeed. Never succeed under the ego's guidance. And the result of this curriculum goal is obvious. Every legitimate teaching aid, every real instruction, and every sensible guide to learning will be misinterpreted, since they are all for facilitating the learning this strange curriculum is against. If you're trying to learn how not to learn, and the aim of your teaching is to defeat itself, what can you expect but confusion? Such a curriculum does not make sense. This attempt at, quote, learning has so weakened your mind that you cannot love, for the curriculum you have chosen is against love and amounts to a course in how to attack yourself. The supplementary goal in this curriculum is learning how not to overcome the split that makes its primary aim believable. And you will not overcome the split in this curriculum, for all your learning will be on its behalf. Yet your mind speaks against your learning as your learning speaks against your mind. And so you fight against all learning and succeed, for that is what you want. But perhaps you do not realize even yet that there is something you want to learn and that you can learn it because it is your choice to do so. Let's pause here. Jesus is pointing out just the insanity of this thought system that really just doesn't want to learn the truth. It amounts in a course in how to attack yourself and how not to overcome the split in your mind that makes this primary aim of attacking yourself believable. And so we just end up being frustrated, confused, spinning around, trying to find a way within the ego's thought system and never finding it. So he says, you who have tried to learn what you do not want should take heart. For although the curriculum you set yourself is depressing indeed, it is merely ridiculous if you look at it. Is it possible that the way to achieve a goal is not to attain it? Resign now as your own teacher. This resignation will not lead to depression. It is merely the result of an honest appraisal of what you have taught yourself and of the learning outcomes that have resulted. Under the proper learning conditions, which you can neither provide nor understand, you will become an excellent learner and an excellent teacher. But it is not so yet, and will not be so till the whole learning situation, if you have set it up, is reversed. There's a pause here, watch your breath. Have a sense of just letting go with the breath. Resignation he's talking about. Another word for this is surrender. Just surrender as your own guide, as your own teacher. In the recognition that it hasn't worked, that you teaching yourself has not worked to bring you happiness, peace, love, joy. Quite the opposite. It's worked to bring you experiences of fear, attack thoughts, weakness, victimhood, and a lot of pain and suffering. But as Jesus says, take heart, because when you look at this curriculum of the ego, you can start to see it's just merely ridiculous. If you really look at it, it makes absolutely no sense, and you can almost start to laugh at it, to make light of this insane belief system that has kept you in its hold for so long. Your learning potential, properly understood, is limitless because it will lead you to God. This eternal, infinite loving presence we can call God. which is unlimited. So therefore your learning potential is also unlimited. You can teach the way to Him, the way to love, and learn it if you follow the teacher who knows the way to Him and understands His curriculum for learning it. This is the Holy Spirit. Curriculum is totally unambiguous because the goal is not divided, and the means and the end are in complete accord. There is no separation between means and end in love. They are one. This is the collapse of time and space, cause and effect. And you need offer only undivided attention. Everything else will be given you. For you really want to learn aright, and nothing can oppose the decision of God's Son, or love's extension, which is your mind and all of our minds. He is learning. He is as unlimited as He is. And so just sinking in, surrendering, resigning as your own teacher for the next couple of minutes. Just being willing to enter in to this unlimited state that this section of the text is pointing to. To let go of your own thoughts and ideas, to resign as your own teacher, means to just empty your mind, become an empty vessel, and allow the Holy Spirit to arise naturally in that empty space. Give you a glimpse of the unlimited, eternal nature of your mind, of who you really are. So allow that process just to happen for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, there's nothing else to think about. Just step back, breathe, relax, be still. Resign as your own teacher for the next 2 minutes and just let the Holy Spirit come into your mind and show you your unlimited nature for the next 2 minutes of deep silence. When any thoughts come in, just to seemingly disturb this deep, tranquil experience of light, just use today's workbook lesson to help you let go of them. Say, miracles are seen in light. Breathe in the light. Imagine it's encompassing every cell of your body, every part of your mind. There's no room for darkness. Say to yourself, I am not weak but strong. I'm not helpless but all-powerful. I'm not limited but unlimited. I'm not doubtful but certain. I'm not an illusion but a reality. I am not the darkness. I am the light. And as you exhale, just blowing any of these remaining dark thoughts away with the wind of your breath and surrendering into the light that you truly are. for another minute of deep silence. And so just very gently bring your awareness back into your body. Although you're not a body, you can be aware of it. Just don't make it real. You can be aware of your sense perceptions without giving them undue reality. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Clench your sphincter muscle. Notice the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up from the base of your spine into the crown of your head. Take another sip of air in. Smile. Just check in and scan your mind. Just noticing any thoughts and emotions going on in your mind. Should be well established in the light. Just notice the state, anchor it in by setting the intention to stay there for the rest of the session and the rest of your day. So it is said, so it is done. And exhale. Sigh it all out. Let the air flow out of your nostrils. Make a sighing sound in the back of your throat. Chest and your stomach suck back in. Feel this light, this life energy just subsiding back down from the crown of your head into your lower stomach, groin. Just pausing at the bottom of the exhale. Smile, because you're in the light. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair. On the count of 2, feet touching the ground. Notice what else your body is feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle flow of air on your skin. Breathe that air in. Notice any smell in your nose. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm and surrendered state of mind. Don't have to name anything or judge anything or label anything. Just allow your sense perceptions to blow through your mind without naming them, interpreting them. And you notice how peaceful it is when you do that. This is the enlightened perception that Jesus is trying to train you to have as a default mode of operating in the world. To be in the world but not of the world, as he put it. And then 3, just open your eyes, looking around, taking a minute just to ground yourself back into this so-called reality, the world, noticing the various objects around you, but without any judgments, and let your eyes rest on a particular object for a few seconds. And notice that if you don't name it or judge it or label it in any way, it's very peaceful. We'll move on, apply the same principle, non-judgment, to another object. Don't name it, judge it, label it, interpret it in any way. your experience is exactly the same. Underlying awareness of light is the same, and this is the enlightened state of mind, and all these lessons are pointing to. So I hope this meditation has helped you experience that quite deeply and feel the truth of today's lesson, as well as the text reading, that miracles are seen in light, and this is where your strength lies, within. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. I think let's move into an expression session. So just to recap on this is about just expressing whatever happens to be on your mind. It's an opportunity to express your thoughts, your emotions. Just say whatever you want to say, and no one comments. No one says anything. It's just open, non-judgmental space for you to say whatever's arising. Bear in mind this is being recorded, so don't share anything you don't want to be shared publicly. It's really just about expressing your feelings and emotions, which very honestly, which people are going to resonate with. I think the problem is we're not honest with ourselves. This is how the ego seeks to repress and deny what's truly going on. So this expression session is about just being honest and using it as a process to become more honest and just reveal, really. It's about revealing whatever's going on in your deeper mind. You might be surprised what comes out, and then that often leads to good material for discussion, so we can then discuss it. And anything else that arises, I thought we'd also discuss today's reading, text reading, and the workbook lesson if you want. So, James, you still with us? I asked you to start your video, but that didn't happen. So I hope you're still there.
I'm still here, yeah.
Good. So, what's arising for you? Anything happening? Anything you want to talk about?
I've really enjoyed this, this text today. This morning, I was doing lesson 68, Love Holds No Grievances. And I felt that it was really powerful. It was trying to talk directly to me. And then we come on to, this section, chapter 12, section 5. The Sane Curriculum. I feel as though this is the explainer to the lesson this morning. So I feel as though today is a powerful day of learning and understanding both the lesson and this text. I'm going to be studying all week, I think. But thank you for choosing this, because I think it's really powerful. So the lesson this morning really talked to me. I feel as though this is the explainer. Let's keep going through it.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Are you done? You want to express anything else?
Not for the moment, no. Still reading it again.
Okay. Great, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, we'll talk more about the text reading, a little discussion on it, because there's some powerful stuff in there. Karen.
I'm still gathering my thoughts.
Your favorite part of the session has arrived.
Definitely not. I think I went first last time, so now it's not my turn. I know I didn't go first.
Oh, James went first.
No. I think you can go, Jono. I'm still gathering.
Okay, I'll let you off this time. So what's happening in my world? Yeah, it's been interesting. I've got a couple of situations regarding money. People owe me money. In one situation, it's quite a substantial amount, and chaps refusing to pay is really being quite avaricious about the whole matter. So I've just been, trying to turn it over to the spirit and saying, what should I do? And then I'm reading the course all the time. Jesus, in one of the recent lessons, talked about, if someone asks for something outrageous, then give it to him, because your opposition to what he wants gives reality to the whole situation and makes it real in your mind. And, why would you deny a brother, even if the brother really is, confused? I don't think he has any idea of who he is. He thinks that money is the most important thing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be behaving this way. And then on the other hand, you sort of go, well, is it right just to allow someone to steal money effectively? Because that's what's happening. At what point you say, okay, I'm not a doormat, and enough is enough, and I need to actually stand up to this. So those are the two sort of movements going on in my mind, and I'm just waiting for further guidance. I'm going to ask tomorrow for some practical guidance from the Arbitration Foundation of South Africa, and see what they say. But I don't want to embark on a whole long exercise which ends up being a protracted conflict and really just disturbs my peace. It ends up taking a whole lot of time and energy away from activities like this, and more constructive business activities. I've got some interesting things going on which are more positive. It's about trying to create something rather than just trying to get money that's owed, which is as always from the past, debts past. I'm owed this. There's a whole egoic construct involved in that. So I'm aware of that, and I'm just sort of saying, well, okay, guide me. And if it means I've got to let it all go and just say, okay, well, that's so about 140,000 rand written off, which to translate for you, James, is something in the region of 7,000 or 8,000 pounds. So it's a significant amount of money. It's not just on this level anyway. So that's sort of what's been on my mind, and I've been very aware of the lesson in it. Okay, so if this is all happening for you, it's for your own enlightenment, then the situation is there for me to let go of something, and maybe that just plays out like on the level of form. I've got to let go of the whole situation, accept the offer he's made, which is 140,000 rand less than what's owing in terms of a contract, and just go, okay, well, I'm at peace with that. It's fine. I don't need to be right. I don't need to prove anything in the situation. So I think I'm prepared to do that. There are other people involved, but there's other people involved who also money's been taken from them too, and I could help them. I would need to take this on and write the various things that need to happen in arbitration. So you don't want to let them down either. But in the end, it's simple. I think you just got to listen to that inner voice that tells you, okay, this is what you should do. So I'm waiting for things to unfold and for more guidance. But it's been an interesting situation, and I think that's me for now. Karen?
Yes, I'll even unmute myself. Favorite part. I think there's been so much going on this week. It's just felt completely crazy. It's not just the business, it's the business and dive courses and this and that. And James, you don't know that much really about my business. I think Jono knows quite a bit more. So, I won't tell a long story. I think just in this case, I'm like so confused because I've been putting in everything financially, mentally, emotionally, physically into this business. And my business partner is like up and down and up and down. And 1 minute she wants to kick me out the company, then she wants me back in the company. Then so I'm a shareholder, so she can't really kick me out. Then she suggests I resign and not accept her calling me back into the company. And then she comes up, well, we're splitting the business, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I so nearly told her, Jono, that that advice that you gave me to actually write an advert for somebody to go and work as a director or as a shareholder and director in the business for no salary, no expenses, no income whatsoever, no perks, no RA, no medical aid, because essentially that's what I'm doing. And so then I tried to claim just a mere 2,500 Rand of expenses, which was agreed upon in January. So the easiest way I thought would be out of petty cash. So over 2 months, I claimed 2,500 Rand instead of 2,500 Rand per month. She went wild. So in the management meeting on Wednesday night, it was looking okay. We've got a little bit of money in the bank. And I said, and I didn't raise it in the meeting, but let me just keep this because it's a little bit small to discuss in the management meeting. And so I emailed her and I said to her, well, seeing as we're in a good cash position, a better cash position, please pay over the 2,500 Rand, at least for this month, because I'm paying for my own fuel, my own cell phone bill, my own internet. And the financial hole's just getting bigger and bigger, no income for 16 months. And she came back and she says, no, it's complicated. I think you and I should take this offline. We don't need to get the other shareholders involved. And by the way, for you, we need to split the business for your own independence and so that you can decide what salary you pay. And I'm like, what are you projecting? I never said I want to split the business or be independent. So it's been like a roller coaster of note. She's adamant she's already spoken to somebody who can now split the business, but we essentially still have to have the holding company, which is the company that exists today. But it doesn't make sense because somebody's going to have to run the books for that company. Somebody's going to have to run the finances for that company. And then there'll be 2 other companies. So now I'm in a really tight team of 2 people on the ground in South Africa. You're going to split the resources, split all the supplier, customers, distributors that have been working huge long hours and effort on to train up. Who do they go to, her business or my business? It makes no logical sense. So beyond confused and a little stressed would be where I'm feeling what I'm feeling at the moment, a little tense and wound up.
Yeah, just breathe.
Sorry?
Just breathe.
Breathe and listen.
At least you're smiling about it, which is good.
Yeah, I normally do.
What else can you do? Yeah.
Sorry?
What else can you do? Just make light of it.
Smile and wave.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it? Are you done?
We're done. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so some interesting themes coming up there about money, conflict around money. Yeah, I think that's, especially if you're involved in a business, running your own business, often that's the case. Both Cora and I are doing that. So maybe we can talk about some of these principles in today's lesson and in the reading, in the light of it, because they're there to guide us in practical situations. Okay, so how does one resolve these things? The miracle is seen in light, but you won't see it in the darkness. Okay? The darkness is the chaos, the confusion, the frustration, everything you described. You won't see it in that because you have to clear your mind first. So I think that the first thing to do is to get into a very clear state of mind. Say, okay, I'm not emotionally turbulated by this. This isn't affecting me emotionally because my underlying identity is unaffected by any of this. Remember, the ego is always trying to somehow attack your identity. That's what the teaching in this section of the text is. It's an attack on your own identity, on yourself, and it's using these external things, events, people, situations, to seemingly justify that somehow Now this is an attack on you, and you feel somehow weakened. And it seems like something or someone else is attacking you. That's the projection. That's the cleverness of it, because it's not really something external to you. Your business partner is just a manifestation of your own ego, right? And so what it's the ego is trying to get you to do through the situation is to judge it as real, to judge it as a real threat to your well-being, to feel less than, to feel weakened, to feel that weakness, that victimhood, to feel powerless, to feel confused, because that's all it wants you to do. I mean, it's insane, really. Why would an entity just want confusion and chaos and weakness? But that is what the ego is. It's made up of thoughts and emotions that are not of God, that are not love, that are not strong and powerful and helpful. And then it's going to use the external world to seemingly stimulate those, to trigger those in you, and to justify them. But if you see it truly, the situation is perfect. It's perfect for your learning. It's perfect for your own spiritual evolution and growth, because that situation, that person represents the block to the awareness of love's presence in your own mind. And if you can see it as that, if the person's like totally unreasonable, it's chaotic, it's confused, makes no logical sense, don't try and make sense of it on the level of form, because you won't make sense of it. And I think maybe that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make sense of what doesn't make sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Jesus is very clear. He says the ego does not make sense. You'll never make sense of what is an insane idea. And so don't go there. Just try and overlook it and say, okay, none of this makes any sense. The whole construct of it, the way this person's behaving, that doesn't make any sense. So my only solution here is to overlook it, is to go to the light. Find that place of peace and serenity where I'm invulnerable. I know, it really doesn't matter what this person does or says. It doesn't matter what happens on the level of form. The money doesn't matter. This is all part of the illusory construct the ego spun. And my job is simply to see it for what it is in the situation. That's the miracle. If I can see it for what it is, and I can find that place of peace in my mind, irrespective, and then be guided. If I'm really in that place of peace, I can really find that state of mind where I'm like, okay, I'm at peace no matter what, and there's an emptiness and there's a clarity. Then you may well get some guidance, and maybe the guidance that she's giving you is exactly what you need. Maybe that's exactly, instead of resisting it, maybe she go, okay, well, maybe that's the Holy Spirit trying to resolve my problem. Maybe I should just listen. Maybe underneath all of this, there's a miracle that's waiting for me to unfold for me. And I just need to be open to it. Because remember what he's saying here in the Sane Curriculum. He's saying you will not find your way out of the maze you've created, right? Your own ideas about the situation, your own learning has taught you wrong. And you have to resign as your own teacher, because the ego is not going to teach you right in the situation. So he's saying to us, just resign, surrender, let go of your own ideas about this, and be completely open to something else arising. And if you can really, really do that, then something else will arise. Then the miracle will arise beyond the grievance, beyond the confusion. There's a miracle just waiting to happen in the situation. The grievance and the chaos and the confusion just conceals the miracle. So you got to know that there's a miracle in every difficulty. There's a miracle waiting to unfold, but you have to get into the right state of mind to see it and to allow it to unfold. So I hope that's somewhat helpful. Oh, you said which chapter was it? So we're on section 5 of chapter 12. today's reading, which is
Got
entitled
it.
The Sane Curriculum.
Yeah, I was on chapter 12. I just couldn't find.
Yeah, section 5.
Thank you.
So he's saying very clearly, that we need to resign as our own teacher, and our own learning has taught us wrongly, and trying to solve the problem within that construct of the ego. It's not going to work. The miracle requires you to transcend this level, which then helps you to let go of your own thought system and your own identity. So especially in your own business, often your identity really gets wrapped up in the business. So now there's an identification with, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the the person who's building this business, I'm the salesperson, and like, it's really just totally unfair. I'm giving my all to this business, and this person is treating me unfairly. But you got to look at the construct of it, because the ego is trying to get you to identify with that person, that personality, your role on the level of form, and say, well, that's me. And now I feel like I can be hurt when this person says, I'm not even going to pay you expenses. Isn't that just the great setup to go, oh, now that identity is threatened, that identity is feeling wounded, that identity is somehow damaged and harmed by this person's actions. And now attack seems to be justified. And now it's taken you away from your divine reality, that you are one, you are the Christ, and none of this really matters. And now you're identified with this, this little self, this personal identity of, being Karen the salesperson, Karen the business person, Karen the shareholder, and this person's treating you unfairly, and now you feel like attacked, and like there's, you're a victim, and this is so unfair, you're being unfairly treated. Remember, the ego's stock in trade is to make you feel unfairly treated, because that makes you feel like a victim. That makes you feel less than your divine self, which is totally invulnerable. So if you can see it as a setup, which it is, and you just smile, you look at the setup and you go, okay, I see. Like the whole situation's a setup, but it's not just a setup for, from the ego's point of view, for victimhood and pain and suffering and all of that. It's a setup for a miracle. Because if I can really see this, and I can really transcend this personal investment in the situation, then I'm freeing myself. I'm freeing myself from that identification. I'm freeing myself from all of this pain and frustration, that you described over the last 16 months. I can set myself free. Maybe this is the way out. Maybe this is actually now coming to a crunch where I can actually allow the miracle to unfold. And maybe if I can just get out the way and allow that to unfold, then it will. And just not resist it, not go, well, that makes no sense. Well, by whose judgment? You got to ask yourself, who's judging this, and who's perceiving this, and which thought system am I listening to? Am I being my own teacher here, or am I really willing to do what he says? Resign as your own teacher. I don't know. I don't know how to resolve the situation. Of myself, this little ego self, I can't resolve the situation. It's going to just keep spinning around in the same chaos and confusion, because of course the ego wants you there, it wants you in chaos and confusion. It wants you to feel less than who you really are. And so it's got an investment in keeping that situation stuck, as it is. The Holy Spirit, once you've really learned the lesson, if you can really go, okay, I see, what this is, and I see truly what the situation is, and I'm willing to resign as my own teacher, and I'm willing to allow the Spirit to come in and really guide me, then the situation can resolve, because you've learned the lesson that's no longer required, and it certainly will resolve in a way that maybe you can't even conceive of right now. You just got to allow that to unfold, by getting into that very clear present state. Okay, I'm not really affected by this person, by their actions. None of it really matters. I'm still the divine self. I'm still the Christ. I'm unaffected. The strength of God is still in me. And so coming from that place now, all right, well, show me, Holy Spirit, give me the guidance. What should I do? What should I say? Where should I go? And you will get a prompt. You will get the guidance. And often people say, well, so what, how do I know that that guidance is coming from the Holy Spirit and not the ego? And, it's something that's an inner experience for everyone. But in my experience, it feels quite peaceful. It feels peaceful. It feels kind of gentle. It's not harsh. There's no conflict in it. There's just a sense of, okay, that's fine. And I'm at peace with it. Even if it means, on your ego might not like it. So there might be another voice going, but then be aware of that split in your mind. That's just the mirroring of the split in your mind, that the ego is going crazy about and going, no, you can't do that. But the sense of peace and calmness is much more powerful and much more attractive. And so if you listen to that, you can easily just let go of whatever the ego's objections are and go, what brings me peace in this situation? Because ultimately that's what everything is for. What will bring me more peace? If it means we split the business, and that brings me more peace because I'm then not dealing with this person, and I have my own independence, and I can then run this business without all this interference. Okay, maybe it means on the level of form, you take a hit, because that's often how it works. So, okay, so you lose half the business apparently, but then be aware of the temptation to perceive loss and sacrifice. Oh, I'm losing something valuable on the level of form. But Jesus is saying that, nothing on the level of form is really valuable. What's really valuable is your peace of mind and your happiness. So, what's going to make you happier? What's going to bring you peace of mind in this situation? That's what's truly valuable. The level of form is not valuable at all. Maybe you've got to just let go of any attachment to the level of form, because that's all bound up with your ego's identity, isn't it? Well, that's important. Now I've attached to that. I give that power in my mind. Now it has the power to affect me. Now I can feel less than. I can feel the victim. It's all bound up in that ego, false ego identification with your role in the level of form, with what's happening on the level of form, with things like money. Money is just a symbol of worldly power, isn't it? Because apparently money has power in this world. Money has the power to do things, to create things. We can acquire things. It's the survival of the body. We need money to survive, etc., etc. So it's a great learning vehicle if you really see it, as what it is. Jesus says in this last section, he says, "You will not recognize the learning aids that have been given you if you interpret them through the Holy Spirit, through the ego, not the Holy Spirit." So all of this is, learning aids to help you to learn this, profound lesson. This is who I am, and I'm not really affected by anything on this level. That's the true miracle. So I hope that gives you, I'm not saying it's easy, but I hope that gives you a path to go, okay, this is how I can approach it. It's all about what's happening on the level of mind. How am I perceiving this? What are my thoughts? What are my emotions? And if you can find that state above the battleground, just transcending where there's a state of peace, irrespective, then the guidance will come. And it might just unfold for you. If she wants to split the business, okay, maybe you don't resist it. You just go, all right, allow that. In a similar way. I mean, my situation is not identical, but the guy wants to take the money. Okay, well, maybe I just let him take the money instead of fighting him. Why go into a fight? If that's really important, so important to him, if he thinks his salvation is this money, and I realize it's really not, your salvation does not lie in any amount of money. What does it matter? Okay, so I take less, and maybe, in time that money comes back many times, manyfold, because Spirit's not limited in its ability to create, whatever you need on this level to fulfill your journey. So, maybe that's the lesson. It's like, okay, well, just don't get attached to it. The real purpose is, is to help you to let go of your identification with things like money and the the identity of being whatever it is, a person on this level who can now be affected, who can be screwed, who can be victimized. You drop all of that and you say, well, that's just not me. So I'm not going to behave as though it is me, because that's insane. and then the lessons learned, the miracle unfolds, the situation will resolve itself. One of the recent review lessons was, yesterday's review lesson was, let me recognize that this problem has already been solved. And that's a lovely one to remember. This has already been solved. If you can go there, it's already been solved. Because time and the solution are not separate. Time cannot separate me from the solution. So if I can find that state of mind where I'm just clear, I'm strong, I'm certain, it's already been solved. Then it will unfold on the level of form, right? But the problem is in mind. So the problem's already been solved if you accept it that it's been solved. This is the Holy Spirit's way of solving problems. And it's completely, the ego is not going to understand it, it's going to resist it, but it collapses time. It takes you out of this linear stream. So if you think of things being on a timeline, right? Cause and effect, and all these situations on a timeline. You're walking down the timeline, and on this level, it hasn't been solved yet. The ego is going to say, well, how can you say it's been solved? Because it hasn't been solved. It's still got the situation. But on the vertical axis, which is beyond time, you can go into a state of mind where it's already been solved, where you go, I'm at peace. I'm at peace, and so none of this can really affect me. And that's the miracle that then collapses time. Then on this level, on the vertical level, you can actually collapse the time between the problem and the solution. The ego wants to expand that time, wants to keep you in the problem. So it actually never wants a solution. But with the miracle, it can collapse time, and you can find a solution very quickly. The blocks that's really in your mind can unlock very quickly, and things can resolve on the level of form. And then it shows up as like, oh wow, that actually happened, and it's much better, and it's working better. Okay. Cara, no, today's lesson was 91. We're on to lesson 91 today. So miracles are seen in light. We've done the review lessons. So yesterday's lesson was that review lesson about problems being solved, which is also helpful. It'd be worth reviewing those to say, okay, this is the way of solving problems with the Holy Spirit, is going above the cause effect level of time and space, above the horizontal dimension, going into the vertical, which is eternal, and finding that peace of mind. And then from that state of mind, you might get a solution that comes to you, something that you need to do on the level of the horizontal. So you get a thought, and you go, okay, well, I need to do that, I need to say that, whatever. And now you're dealing in cause and effect, but you've changed the dynamics. You're no longer in the ego's thought system, and that cause-effect relationship is now under the governance of the Holy Spirit, and which collapses time, which can mean that this can resolve pretty quickly once you've really done that. So I think it's brilliant. I think it's coming to a head, and maybe you've got to make a decision. Now I'm going to listen to the ego of the Holy Spirit, ask for the miracle, and just allow that to resolve the situation once and for all for you. And free yourself. Then you don't have to keep on in the situation of having to deal with someone who's really not on the same wavelength. It doesn't sound like there's any kind of resonance at all. So maybe you're better off being part in running your own business, and you don't have to keep going in a relationship that's obviously dysfunctional, that's not working. The Holy Spirit's not saying that you have to do that. You can forgive her and you can move on. Say, thank you for the lesson, great lesson, and it's been part of my spiritual journey, and there's no resentment, but you can move on. You don't have to keep on going in a relationship that's not serving your growth anymore. If you've learned the lesson, then you can move on. And maybe that means on the level of form, you do split the business, you go your separate ways, you do your own thing, and you'll thrive because you don't have this block and this obstacle anymore. It means you're going to maybe start again, rebuild. But if the Spirit's with you, if the block's removed, then you can succeed maybe on a level that you just haven't been able to because of the this block in this relationship that you described. So I hope that that gives you some ideas, some thoughts to work with, and just turn it all over, give it to the Holy Spirit and say, okay, show me, and then be willing to listen. Like if it tells you to do something and then your ego goes, oh no, I don't want to do that, you gotta you gotta look at that and go, well, why am I resisting? The Holy Spirit is giving me a guidance here, and I need to follow it. It can't help me if I don't follow the guidance. And that often means on the level of form that it doesn't seem to be working out like the ego wants. It just won't, because the ego's got a totally different thought system. It's attached to form, and but the Holy Spirit's giving you the guidance to try and help you out of it. So be willing to listen to it and just go with it, and trust that it's all going to be okay. That you don't know the answer, but if you're letting go to the one that does know the answer, that knows all of time and space, that knows your divine path back to God, then you can't do better than that. That's going to guide you faithfully, always, in all ways. So okay, so any other questions? James, do you have any questions? Anything you want to bring up?
I was just going to say, it sounds like a powerful, tough lesson, but let go and let God. And as you say, you do have to listen.
Yeah.
No use asking for help and not kind of taking it on board.
Yeah, this is not a theoretical exercise. The theory is one thing, and I think too many people do go, oh yeah, no, it's great, let go, let God, surrender, blah, blah. And they can say this, they can say all of this, but then when it comes down to actually going, okay, but that means I've got to apply it in my life. If I've got these kinds of situations, difficulties that crop up, I've got to apply the guidance. I've got to listen to the Holy Spirit. If I don't listen and I don't act on that guidance, I'm not really learning anything. The course then just is on the level of intellectual theory, and there's no practical application. Well, you're not really learning. So learning comes when you go, okay, I'm willing to apply these things, and maybe that means on the level of form that, okay, this doesn't work out as my ego wants it to work out, and maybe I do take a knock. I lose something on the level of form. In my case, it's it's a significant amount of money, but okay, what am I valuing then? Does that really have value, or is that just part of the illusion? So there's the lesson to be learned, and then you got to be grateful to that person who's giving you the lesson, even though they're acting apparently unethically. And okay, but on another level, they're giving you exactly the lesson you need, aren't they? So why are you resisting the lesson you need? If that's your pathway back to God and that person is part of it, why would you get upset with them? Why would you be they're just playing their part in your path back to God? So it's a different way. It's a completely different way of looking at it.
I think that's exactly right. Sorry, I think that's exactly right. You have to apply it. No good just talking it, but it just brings me back to the line that you said earlier. If you can feel the love and the peace, then the words are really doing what they're meant to, what they're there for. So,
and that's what you're valuing, So what do you value in the situation? Do you value your peace of mind? Do you value love and happiness? Or do you value an illusion? And, Jesus is saying so clearly, saying you can't have both. You can't split your mind. You can't reconcile these. So it's a very clear-cut teaching. You must choose. And, the choice actually is obvious in every situation. There's always a split. There's always a choice. I could do this or I could do this. And they have very different outcomes. So, what am I going to choose? Which voice am I going to listen to?
You want the ego to be right, or do you want to be happy?
Yeah. And what we're trying to do, I think, this is the problem, is part of our mind tries to reconcile these and go, okay, well, I can have what the ego wants and I can still be spiritual and I can still, do what the Holy Spirit wants me to do. And, you can't. They're at odds. Jesus said, you can't serve two masters. Do you serve God or do you serve Mammon? But, it's one or the other. And he was pretty direct, in his teaching. That I think we talked about it in the 2 weeks ago. That situation where he went into the temple 2,000 years ago, and he overturned the tables. That was pretty direct teaching of saying, okay, this thought system on which all of this is based, money and exchange and buying and selling and wanting to make profit, and this is all happening in God's house. This is not right. This is off base. This is not gonna get you back to God. And so it was a physical demonstration saying that this thought system of mammon, as he called it, is just wrong. It's incorrect, and you need to reject it entirely. You can't have some of it and go, oh well, that's okay, and I can still honor God. It's a very clear-cut choice. So in both our cases, Con, we have some choices to make. But are you going to honor mammon, the illusion of money and what money represents, or are you going to honor God, which is love, peace, and joy, and your own happiness and peace of mind? And you can't have both. That's the more I work with the course, the more that becomes so obvious and so clear. And thank God for that, because it's very clear. You have a clear-cut choice. There's no kind of equivocation. There's no like, well, some of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and I'll try and somehow marry my spiritual path with the ego. And no, it doesn't mean that you can't operate and function in the world, but you're operating with a very, very different thought system. The miracle and the grievance just cannot be reconciled. They'll ask you to do different things, and have very different outcomes. So that's some thoughts to bear in mind for all of us. I'm teaching myself here because I have a decision to make here as well, which I haven't completely made. I'm just sort of going, okay, well, let's just see, what unfolds tomorrow. I need more information, but I'm prepared to make it. I'm prepared to just let it go and say, all right, then. It also means I can go to the Vipassana retreat, which I was planning to do in 10 days' time. So then, again, you're like, okay, so do you value the illusion, or do you value, this deep meditation practice, which is going to take you closer to God? Which do you value? Which is more important to you? Can't have both. So it's a great lesson in some ways. I look at it and go, well, it's all perfectly set up for my learning. It's just about, which teacher you're going to listen to. So any questions about today's reading? Maybe I'll just share my screen again, go back there, because it's a powerful section. Maybe we can we've got a little bit of time. You said you want to wrap it up in about 20 minutes, James, so maybe we can just read a bit of this this text. Take turns to read a paragraph each, maybe. So let me just go up to the top. So do you want to start off? Just read paragraph 1, and then just make a note of what really stood out for you, and say that sentence again at the end.
Okay, section 5, Sane Curriculum. Only love is strong because it is undivided. The strong do not attack because they see no need to do so. Before the idea of attack enter your mind, you must have perceived yourself as weak, because you attacked yourself and believed that the attack was effective. You behold yourself as weak, no longer perceiving yourself and your brothers as equal, and regarding yourself as weaker. You attempt to equalize the situation. You use attack to do so because you believe that attack is successful and weak for you.
Yeah. And what stood out for you?
What stands out from that for me is line 4, because you attack yourself and believe that the attack was effective. You behold yourself as weakened, no longer perceiving yourself and your brothers as equal, and regarding yourself as weaker. You attempt to equalize the situation you make. I gave a little chuckle then, because I told you that this morning I'd done lesson 68,
Mm.
and in some of the paragraphs that I commented on, again, it was line 4 that stood out for me.
Mm.
And it's the same in this one, line 4. Today's been really powerful learning.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what stood out to me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's some profound stuff. What he's saying here is this is why you attack. And you see this all the time. You know, people try to equalize the situation by attacking others because they believe that their attack on themselves was successful in weakening you. So then you think, okay, well, attack works, so I can now weaken the other person by attacking them. And so you have a thought system based on weakness and attack. It's also making it very clear that attack is weakness, not strength. The ego's idea is that, you know, attack is somehow strong. Anger, attack, this is going to make you strong, but actually it's not. It's based on weakness. Karen, do you want to read the second paragraph?
Yes. Okay, so that is why the recognition of your own invulnerability is so important to the restoration of your sanity. For if you accept your invulnerability, you are recognizing that attack has no effect. 3, although you have attacked yourself, you will be demonstrating that nothing really happened. 4, therefore, by attacking you have not done anything. By attacking you have not done anything. 5, once you realize this, you will no longer see any sense in attack, for it manifestly doesn't work and cannot protect you. 6, yet the recognition of your own invulnerability has more than negative value. 7, if your attacks on yourself have failed you to weaken you, you are still strong. 8, you have therefore no need to equalize the situation to establish your strength.
What stood out for you there?
The very first part. So important to the restoration of my sanity. And definitely number 8, you therefore have no need to equalize the situation to establish your own strength. I've learned well, I've probably been defensive my whole life, but I've learned very clearly in recent times that I am defensive at just about any level, and it was a tough thing to admit, but it's the truth.
Yeah, well, maybe, you know, this is just perfect because this, you know, your business partner, the situation is just getting you to really see this. Say, okay, you know, I see what this thought system is. I see it's a pattern that I've acknowledged all my life, that I thought was real, and now it's a chance to let it go, to really, you know, see it for what it is, and to claim my own invulnerability. So I'm going to recognize that I'm invulnerable. I can't really be attacked. We all do this. You know? We all play this game of like somehow feeling like we need to defend ourselves, that strength comes in attack, then we counter attack to equalize the situation. It's only when it's pointed out so clearly, I mean, you can't really deny what he's saying. It's like, yeah, I do see that this is how the ego works, and this is actually what I've done for a large part of my life, and it's really not, it's not working. It's never going to work. You know, that's when you start to wake up and go, okay, you know, I'm willing to drop this whole thought system, because it's useless. As he says, you will never realize the utter uselessness of attack except by recognizing that your attack on yourself has no effect. For others do react to attack if they perceive it. And if you're trying to attack them, you will be unable to avoid interpreting this as reinforcement. The only place you can cancel out all reinforcement is in yourself. For you're always the first point of your attack. And if this has never been, it has no consequences. Well, utter uselessness of attack. except by recognizing that your attack on yourself has no effect. Okay, so I'm really attacking myself in this situation, but it has no effect. I'm still strong. I'm still the invulnerable Christ that I truly am. So I'm not reinforcing this thought system of attack, and I can cancel it all out. Say this has never been, right? Jesus is saying that this thought system of weakness and attack has never been. It's an illusion. It's not real. It's not true. None of its effects are real. It has no consequences. That just collapses this whole cause-effect matrix that the ego's created based on, now I think this, I think weakness, therefore attack is the cause, therefore I attack others, therefore they attack me back. Now I get sucked into all these ego dynamics of, attack and defense and the fear that seems justified and all this conflict in relationships. And it's all canceled out by simply saying, okay, I'm not doing it anymore. In myself, right? For you're always the first point of your attack. And if this has never been, it has no consequences, right? Nothing real's ever happened. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So what stood out for me there was the only place you can cancel out all reinforcement is in yourself. You can't change anyone else. Can't change their mindset, but you can change yours. And that's where your only real power lies. Okay, do you want to read paragraph 4, James?
Yeah. The Holy Spirit's love is your strength. Yours is divided and therefore not real. You cannot trust your own love when you attack it. You cannot learn perfect love with a split mind, because a split mind has made itself a poor learner. You tried to make the separation eternal because you wanted to retain the characteristics of creation, but with your own content. Yet creation is not of you, and poor learners do need special teaching. And what stood out for line 3, you cannot learn of a perfect love with a split mind, because the split mind has made itself a poor learner. Again, it's going back to what we said earlier. You have to make a choice whether it's going to be the ego or the Holy Spirit. That's what stands out for me.
And that you can't find love in the split.
Yeah.
You can't find love in the opposite of love. Which there's many paths, there's many approaches in spirituality, personal growth, and most of them try and reconcile the split. If you're really honest and you really look at it, try and say, well, you can have what you want in the world, you can have the ego, and you can also be on a spiritual path. And they kind of fudge it. And this is saying you can't. You're never going to find perfect love in that split mind. It doesn't exist there. And so we seek and we seek in the split, in the other part of our mind, in the ego mind, for the love that we yearn for, and we never find it, which of course was the previous lesson, the previous section of the text. Seek and do not find is the ego's whole mantra, which is ultimately frustrating and depressing, and because you're never going to find the answer. It's why the world itself is depressing, as Jesus says, because the ego sets you up on this endless search for love somewhere outside of you, within the construct of duality, within the split mind, and it's never going to work. Fortunately, finally we have a teaching from a true master who's escaped time and space entirely, just saying to us, okay, this is how it is, guys. I'm giving it to you straight. I'm not sugarcoating the illusion. I'm not making this into something that it's not and saying, oh, your life here can be all wonderful and roses. You can have a happy dream while you're here if you really let go of your split mind. But this isn't your home. It's very clear. So this is not your home. And you will never find eternal peace and happiness here, because it's not designed for that. It's a product of a split mind. And so your only solution is to escape it, is to transcend it entirely and go back to true creation. Okay.
I really like as well line 4. You tried to
Yeah.
make the separation eternal
Yeah.
because you wanted to retain the characteristics of creation, but with your own content. For example, the way I read it is, as an example, dear God, I do forgive Jonathan, and I want the best for him, send out all blessings for him. But can you get him to apologise? I know we're both bad, but can you get him to be the one that
Yeah.
apologises first? You're keeping, the characteristics of the
Yeah.
group there, type thing, So,
Your own content. Yeah. Yeah. Or you want your dreams and your illusions. You go, dear God, I give everything to you, surrender my life to you. But it would be really nice if you just made that business deal happen, or you really, this kind of thing, like bargaining with God. If you could just do that, just show me. And that, of course, is just the ego coming in, saying, I want to insert my own content into creation, because creation is one. There's only perfect oneness in God. God has no knowledge of any of your illusory desires, fears, anything that's really going on this level. It's just a perfect oneness, with no content other than love. That's the entire content of true creation. Our own content is all the distortions that we've woven into it, that we see manifested in the world. All these situations, business dealings, and everything in the world just comes from this idea that we now want to put our own content into reality. We want to be the creators. We want to be the boss. We want to be the creators of reality. That's the authority problem, isn't it? And he's saying, but creation is not of you. There's many New Age teachings that talk about you create your reality and, conscious manifestation, and you can go and, you can create your own reality and you can have whatever you want. You're probably familiar with some of them, The Secret, and I notice Eckhart Tolle has been doing courses on conscious manifestation, and, it's a big theme. But this is exactly what Jesus is saying you shouldn't do, right? You wanted to retain the characteristics of creation, but with your own content. You wanted to kind of have your cake and eat it. I want God and love and etc., but I want my own content in there as well. He's saying creation is not of you. You can't create reality. Reality is given to you. Reality was created by God. It's beyond your ability to affect in any way. Fortunately, thank God for that. Otherwise, we'd be stuck with this miscreation of a world that really doesn't make any sense, where these kinds of difficulties just keep coming. We just keep having these problems because of this, this what we've tried to do. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Karen, you want to read paragraph 5?
Okay, paragraph 5. You have learned handicaps in a very literal sense. 2. There are areas in your learning skills that are so impaired that you can progress only under constant, clear-cut direction provided by a teacher who can transcend your limited resources. 3. He becomes your resource because of yourself you cannot learn. 4. The learning situation in which you place yourself is impossible, and in this situation you clearly require a special teacher and a special curriculum. 5. Poor learners are not good choices as teachers, either for themselves or for anyone else. 6. You would hardly turn to them to establish the curriculum by which they can escape from their limitations. 7. If they understood what is beyond them, they would not be handicapped.
Anything stand out for you?
Number 4 for sure.
Do you want to read it again?
I will. So the learning situation in which you placed yourself is impossible. So that for me is like, first accepting that I actually put myself here. And in this situation, you clearly require a special teacher and a special curriculum. I think that also talks to, I guess, what I spoke to you about, Jono, on our very first conversation. Like, I was always looking for, the next course, the next self-development, the next, guru, and the next course. And having had the the course for 14 years before, still in its same sealed box, how it fell out and just happened to be right for me right now. So I guess just, integrating myself, for me, a lot of it is, a huge part of it is trust. Actually just trusting that I'm in the right place at the right time and that I'm on the right path.
Yeah, it is trust. What I was listening to David Hoffmeister yesterday, and he was doing a talk on the development of trust, which is interesting. So I'll see if I can find the video and send it to you. But you can read that section in the course. It's in the manual for teachers, section 4 as well. We seem to be doing 4s today. I think it's section 4 of the manual for teachers on the development of trust. It's powerful stuff, and it's the phases that you go through. He's saying, look, this is what your journey is going to be like, and four of the 6 phases are difficult. They're not easy, and so he's just preparing you, saying, look, yeah, this is not an easy ride to undo this, this very deep-seated thought system. And this is, you're going to have these difficulties. So read it, and I think you'll find it helpful. Section 4 of the manual for teachers, development of trust. I'll see if I can find. I'm sure I can. He did a whole. It's part of an online retreat they did where he talked about it in some detail. And maybe next week we can talk about the development of trust actually in our session. That could be good. Okay, so I'll read the 6th paragraph. You do not know the meaning of love, and that is your handicap. Do not attempt to teach yourself what you do not understand. And do not try to set up curriculum goals where yours have clearly failed. Your learning goal has been not to learn, and this cannot lead to successful learning. You cannot transfer what you have not learned, and the impairment of the ability to generalize is a crucial learning failure. Would you ask those who have failed to learn what learning aids are for? They do not know. If they could interpret the aids correctly, they would have learned from them. Oh, so the learning goal has been not to learn, and this cannot lead to successful learning. There's almost a humor in this. You got to kind of laugh because he's kind of taking as they say in the UK, taking the piss a bit out of our thought system, the ego's thought system. Your learning goal has been not to learn. Like, what an insane goal! You're trying to learn not to learn the truth. This cannot lead to really successful learning. And then this last bit, would you ask those who have failed to learn what learning aids are for? If they do not know. If they could interpret the aids correctly, they would have learned from them. And so these learning aids, or these kinds of situations that arise in our lives, you get these difficulties. The ego doesn't want you to see it as a learning aid. The ego just wants to go, well, it's an obstacle, it's a problem. Why is this person doing this to me? And it gets, sucked into the whole victim mindset. But if you see it as a learning aid, you go, okay, well, this is here to really help me in the spiritual journey, to learn who I really am, and I should welcome this. I should embrace this as a lesson. But I have to see it differently. I have to look on the situation. I have to interpret the aids, which is your life situation and whatever's arising in your life. I have to interpret them correctly with the Holy Spirit, and then I can truly learn from them. And then that's the miracle. If I've done that, that's the miracle. And often the situation resolves. In one way or another, it will resolve. That's the truth, because nothing stays the same in this world. It's going to resolve. It's just how it resolves. So if you really want the miracle, then you need to interpret the situation differently. Okay, James, you want to read paragraph 7?
Sure, yeah. I have said that the ego's rule is seek and do not find. Translated into curricular terms, this means try to learn but do not succeed. The result of this curriculum goal is obvious. Every legitimate teaching aid, every real instruction, every sensible guide to learning will be misinterpreted, since they are all for facilitating the learning this strange curriculum is against. If you are trying to learn how not to learn, and the aim of your teaching is to defeat itself, what can you expect but confusion? Such a curriculum does not make sense. This attempt at learning has so weakened your mind that you cannot love. For the curriculum you have chosen is against love and amounts to a course in how to attack yourself. Supplementary goal in this curriculum is learning how not to overcome the split that makes its primary aim believable. You will not overcome the split in this curriculum. All your learning will be on its own behalf. Yet your mind speaks against your learning, as your learning speaks against your mind. So you fight against all learning and succeed. For that is what you want. But perhaps you do not realize, even yet, that there is something you want to learn and that you can learn it because it is your choice to do so. What stands out for me is really the first line. I have said that the ego's rule is seek and do not find. Translated into curricular terms, this means try to learn but do not succeed. If you give power to the ego, you won't succeed. You'll still be into confusion. Stop, pause, go within to look for the answer. As we said earlier on, let go and let go, but you need to kind of take on board that advice.
Yeah, rather than all the chaos and the confusion of.
Yeah.
He's just highlighting. What I like about it is he just highlights it so clearly. He's going, well, look, this is what else can you expect if you do this? What else can you expect but confusion and depression and frustration? And you're fighting against yourself. You find fighting against your own learning. For that is what you think you want. And like saying, I can't help you if you keep doing that. You have to, you have to be willing to let go of that and really listen to me.
I also like line 11, but perhaps you do not realize even yet that there is something you want to learn and that you can learn it because it is your choice to do so. And again, earlier on we mentioned down to your choice. Who do you choose? The ego or the Holy Spirit? You know, you want to be happy, you want to let the ego be, you want to let the ego be right, or do you want to be happy? It's your choice. You know,
He say even yet. So okay, we're 91 lessons into the workbook. So that's 3 months, and then you might have been studying the text. Some people have been doing this for years. Even yet, you still do not yet realize, what the truth is, because the ego is very, very, very persistent, and it doesn't want you to really realize this. But that's why you just keep doing this. You do these lessons over and over because they are pertinent, and then you apply them to the life situations that you're facing at the time, which is is their value. So it's a timeless teaching. It really is. You can benefit from doing these over and over again, because your life situation changes. You get different things cropping up, and it's really valuable just to remind yourself, okay, this is what he's saying so clearly. Otherwise, it's very easy to get caught up in the fog of confusion, and you're trying to make it work. You're trying to kind of fudge the split. You're trying to get what your ego wants, but you also know you want to be a spiritual person. But then, what does that even mean in the situation? And there's a lot of confusion that results. And he's just saying, look, it's a very clear-cut choice. Just listen to this guidance, and the way will be made clear to you. Okay, Karen, do you want to read
Jonathan?
paragraph? Yeah?
I have to drop out now, so thank you very much. And goodbye, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Goodbye,
Okay,
Karen.
we'll just finish off the last 2 paragraphs. Thank you,
Okay.
James. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Yes. God bless.
Yeah.
Okay. God bless both of you.
Yes, James.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
All right.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Have a nice afternoon and evening. Thanks for
And
joining.
you. Bye now.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Number 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll read number 8.
You who have tried to learn what you do not want should take heart, for although the curriculum you set yourself is depressing indeed, it is merely ridiculous if you look at it. 2, is it possible that the way to achieve a goal is not to attain it? 3, resign now as your own teacher. 4, this resignation will not lead to depression. 5, it is merely the result of an honest appraisal of what you have taught yourself and the learning outcomes that have resulted. 6, under the proper learning conditions, which you can neither provide nor understand, you will become an excellent learner and an excellent teacher. 7, but it is not so yet, and will not be so until the whole learning situation you have set it up is reversed.
Anything stand out for you?
So I think number 5, it is merely the result of an honest appraisal of what you have taught yourself and the learning outcomes that have resulted. And then it's part of number 6, but the end part, you will become an excellent learner and an excellent teacher.
Yeah, but it is not so yet. It will not be so until the whole learning situation, as you have set it up, is reversed.
True.
I think that's so applicable, for both of us. Like, you set it up. You set up the situation. As you have set it up, you set yourself up for the confusion and the frustration and the, seemingly not being fairly treated and whatever. And until you're willing to reverse that whole situation and go, okay, I see, I've done this to myself. I've set myself up again for this situation. And you can laugh, can't you? Like, oh my God, done it again, because the ego is very persistent. It wants you to just keep repeating the same patterns over and over. But, now finally, okay, you're seeing it, and you've got a guide, you've got a teacher in, Jesus Christ himself, who's saying, look, just see it properly. Look at the situation as you set it up and be willing to reverse it. Just be willing to say, okay, this whole situation as I've set it up, learning how not to learn, and all the frustration and the depression and the anxiety and etc. that goes with that. I need to just reverse all of that. I need to just undo it. And it's so simple. I just need to let it all go. Resign as my own teacher and really genuinely ask for the guidance. Okay, Holy Spirit, I don't know how to I don't know how to sort this problem out, because I've set it up to be an impossible situation, as he says. I've set it up to be impossible. So I get caught up in this impossible situation. There seems to be no way out. And I'm just spinning around, really going nowhere in this thought system based on fear and anxiety and chaos and frustration and anger, all of this, just going around and around. That's where the ego wants to keep me. So I'm willing to resign as my own teacher. I don't really have a clue. You show me. And I'm really willing to listen. If you give me the guidance to do something, and there's a part of my mind that ego just doesn't want to do it, okay, well, maybe I need to just lay that aside and go, okay, but I know you know best. I don't know. I can't do this. Clearly, I'm not a very good teacher or learner in the situation I've set up, because the outcome has just been pain and suffering and frustration, and it's not really working. This isn't really getting me anywhere. So I've really got to be willing to, humble myself and say, okay, I don't really know. I'm clueless, but I'm willing to be, to be guided. And I'm willing to really open myself up and listen to this other voice, the voice of God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, if you like, whatever you want to call that. But there is a presence in your mind that wants to help you with this particular situation. And as he says, there's a very specific teacher and a very specific curriculum for you, which is, the guidance will be specific to your situation. That's the beauty of it. It won't just be a general, okay, let go and let God. Yes, that's the first thing you got to do, is really surrender. But then the guidance will come in a specific way. You'll get specific thoughts, ideas that come in, like, okay, do this or don't do this, or just allow this thing to unfold. You know, if your business partner suggested splitting the business, maybe you go, okay, I'm not going to resist pushing an open door. Maybe just go with that and allow it to, you know, allow it to happen. Okay, I'll read the final paragraph. So any questions on that? No. Your learning potential, properly understood, is limitless because it will lead you to God. You can teach the way to him and learn it if you follow the teacher who knows the way to him and understands his curriculum for learning it. The curriculum is totally unambiguous because the goal is not divided, and the means and the end are in complete accord. You need offer only undivided attention. Everything else will be given you, for you really want to learn aright, and nothing can oppose the decision of God's Son. His learning is as unlimited as he is. Yeah. Curriculum is totally unambiguous because the goal is not divided, and the means and the end are in complete accord. So he's saying this is the way out of confusion. It's unambiguous. There's no ambiguity in choosing the Spirit. And you need offer only undivided attention. So he's saying all you need to do is just pay attention to the Holy Spirit. Just give your undivided attention and be willing to listen, and then, you know, follow the guidance, and everything else will be given you. How simple is that? You just need to be undivided in your attention. You don't need to figure out the answer. Just give me your undivided attention, he's saying, and I'll show you. I'll give you the answer. I'll give you the miracle. Because you really do want this. You really do want to learn aright. And you don't want to keep on in this insane situation, learning this, trying to learn this insane curriculum that the ego has set up. And then finally, he leaves us with his learning is as unlimited as he is, because it's taking you to the unlimited, the limitless, infinite, eternal nature of your own being. So I guess that brings us to the end of the session. Let's just do a couple of minutes to close it out. Unless you've got any more questions, comments? No. Okay, so just making yourself comfortable, closing your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through the nose, put your hand on your heart center, just breathing into your heart space and giving thanks for this session, the mighty companions on the journey with us. Thank you to Karen and James who attended. Just breathe in the light, breathe in the love, feel the gratitude. Ultimately to the Holy Spirit for this guidance. It's all been set up for your help, for your healing, to give you very, very practical guidance in these challenging life situations that arise. That you're not alone in this journey. There is a guide, there's a teacher that's just waiting to help you. You just need to be willing to listen. And so you breathe in again. Just set the intention to listen. Say, this is really what I want. I want to listen to the true teacher. I want the guidance. I'm willing to let go of my own teacher. I'm willing to resign as my own teacher. And just let go and let God, as James said. So as you exhale, just blowing it all out. And have a sense of really letting go. Just resigning as your own teacher. Your own thoughts, your own ideas of how to solve the apparent problems in your life really are not going to work. That's what it means to resign as your own teacher. You just expel the last remaining air out. Just rest here for a few moments in this resignation, in this surrender. You smile because you've just opened the way for the miracle to happen. And you just expect the miracle. So breathe in. Remind yourself of today's lesson. Miracles are seen in light. Feel the light, feel the strength that is in you. Beyond these dark illusions of the ego, there's only light. Feel that, acknowledge that, feel the strength, feel the light. Just deeply connect with it. Set the intention to stay there for the rest of the day and on into your week ahead. So it is said, so it is done. You're in the light. You've given every situation over to the Holy Spirit for guidance. And you trust that you will get the guidance as and when you need it. And you will listen to it, you will follow it, and the miracles that come from this process will unfold. So it is said, and so it is done. And so when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. Notice how you're feeling, that the light is still there, the gratitude, the love, and just carry this with you for the rest of the evening and on into your working week ahead. So thank you for joining us. Anyone out there watching this live or as a recording, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're not part of the community, you'd like to find out more, do join me for the next Art of Letting Go masterclass, in which I explain exactly how you can become part of this process. It's happening this Thursday evening from 7 p.m. UK time. It's 8 p.m. South African time, 8 p.m. Central European time, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I believe. So just go to the AOLG, that's THEAOLG.com to find out more and register. I'll put that URL in the post below this video on YouTube. So check it out, and I hope to connect with you then. Thanks for joining us, and namaste, which means the divine knowledge in me acknowledges and honors that same knowledge in you.